Hello everyone, welcome back to Building My Dream Zoo in Minecraft. And I honestly cannot believe that this series is going on to 50 episodes. So I have a lot of big plans for this one. And the first thing I want to do is finish every unfinished project. So the other Okapi habitat that's around the back, making an actual wall for this instead of it just being dirt, finishing all of the entrance area, and the whole wall. We're going to add the roof to it. Let me go get closer. So I started mocking up this roof pattern here, and I actually like it pretty well. I don't know how easy it's going to be to do something like this everywhere, depending on how jagged the wall ends up being. Like, for example, I think on this side, it gets pretty wiggly over there. Kind of see. So I'll have to figure out what I can do, or if I have to change where that goes. But yeah, we have a lot of unfinished projects, a lot of pathing that needs to get done, and I want to try to decorate things. So adding benches, lampposts, you name it. And then I want to actually breed a couple of our animals, and I want to especially focus on some that are endangered. But also I think definitely the Okapi is going to be one of them, because I want to see a baby so badly. But yeah, I have a lot of work to do, so I'm going to get started. Alright guys, we are finally about done with this wall. I cannot believe it. And let's take a look here real quick. So I actually installed a FreeCam type mod. I don't know if it's by the same people who make the modern one, but I really like it. It's pretty helpful with building and everything. But yeah, this is really cool. We've got the whole zoo, that wall around it. And I apologize that it's taken me so long to get even just this part done, let alone the video in general. And I also wanted to mention, if I happen to sound kind of strange, that's part of the reason, is I've got out of the habit of like making the videos and recording, so it's just been a little bit tough to get back into the swing of things. So I hope you guys can understand. There's been a whole bunch going on with my life. Nothing super bad or anything, but just had a lot going on. But yeah, so we've got that all settled. The zoo is looking pretty good. Got a lot of stuff to clean up here though, like the extra trees. But yeah, let's get into everything else. And yeah, obviously this side I've got a lot more of these beams done. If we take a look over there, got quite a few. Didn't go all the way around and didn't do really many at all over here. But we'll get to all that details and stuff. But if I never have to build a staircase like that in 1.12 again, that would be great. These stairs are not very easy to do. For some reason the hitbox doesn't work when you shift on it all the time, so the amount of times I fell. Alright, so I want to see if we can breed a couple of animals. So let's just check the Okapi real quick. So ungulate vial. Okay, let's see if we can figure out how to make those. So it needs an uncraftable potion and then the ungulate kibble. Not sure how to get the uncraftable potion. I wonder if it could be anything. We're gonna go try it out. I'll grab this kibble that we already have, and let's go see. Alright, let's try this out. Alright, it looks like it works. Alright, I can't remember. Okay, this one's a female. I think this one is a female as well. Yeah, it is. Okay. So that means this guy must be our male. Yeah, okay, he is. So, we're actually gonna grab him. And I'm thinking we'll breed with the one out here. Because then the baby can be out for guests to see. That'll be cool. Alright, let's try this out. Oh no. Oh, good. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh. You're so cute. Oh. Okay, I don't know if I have to tame it or not. Let's see if I can. Okay, it's a male, timid, and it doesn't have any taming. So, let's see. It's fast. Can I tame you? Oh, okay, I can. There we go, okay. There we are. So yeah, he'll probably grow up pretty soon, but that's alright. Super cute to have a little baby Okapi in the zoo. I'd love to see you not over here. Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna hang out with your dad. I'm gonna actually put him down over here. We'll see if he won't climb up that hill so much. Here you go, buddy. Alright, that was super cool. So I'm gonna take a look and see what other animals I have pairs of that might be good for breeding. I'm thinking maybe the leopards. That would be pretty cool to see little baby ones. I'm sure they only have one at a time, but you know what I mean. Alright, so the Amur leopards, we've got a male and a female here. I'm gonna move him closer to her. And let's see. Oh! Oh! I don't have any kibble for you. Why are you so mean? Okay. Okay, little guy. Okay. Okay. I'll be back with some kibble. That's an angry little guy. Okay. Do I have to tranquilize you? Oh, what did I just do? Oh, pick the berries. Can I? Oh, I can. Okay. Come on, little guy. Stop. There we go. There we go. Look at how cute he is. Or she. Let's see. Stop running around. She. Okay. You're so angry. You're just a little baby. Calm down. Okay, now we can look at how cute you are. That's so lucky that we got such a cool color. I know, you're such a little killer. But yeah, let's go see if we can find another animal that we might breed. I think we'll maybe do like 1 or 2 more. Alright, I'm thinking the Sumatran rhinos might be pretty cool. Pachyderm vials. Okay, so we'll see if we can make that. This might be a challenge because I had tried to put 2 in here at one point, but they kept fighting. And it was a male and a female, I think. So we only have her Daisy in here right now. So we're gonna have to see. Okay, this might be a dumb idea, but I have a couple of Sumatran rhinos that were in my storage. I don't know which of them is a male and if either of them are tamed. So I created this little pen here. Don't know if this is a good idea. We're gonna try this out. I don't want them to suffocate. Ooh, hello? Okay, not attacking me. Oh, good, it's male. That worked out really well. Ooh, wrong one. Okay. Whoa. Hi, little guy. Could we maybe not go up there though? That was not really the idea when I built this. Here, Daisy. You over here. Oh no! Oh jeez. I'm so sorry, little guy. Okay, we're gonna keep the dad in then. I don't think I've got... Okay, hold on. Okay, it's a little boy. Hi, little guy. Do you want to hop down and hang out with your mom? Oh, I can. Okay. There we go. Oh, look at you. Hi, Beanie. Come here, little guy. Look this way. Oh, I do have to be careful, though, if they are going to fight. Oh, hello. Because I don't want the little guy to fight with his mom when he grows up. Alright, well, I was going to see about maybe a baby bear, but unfortunately, these guys are both males. I don't know if I have any more bears. I don't think so. I think I would have gotten a pair if I could have. What about a baby red panda? I don't know if we had any babies. Oh, are 2 of them up there? Yeah, they are. That's really cute. Alright, let me see if we've got a pair. I'll be right back. So unfortunately, we don't have any salmon, so I'm going to see if we can get a few real quick. And if not, we might try something else. Oh, look at him all grown up. Buddy, can't reach you. That one's the female. So, but yeah, we did get some salmon, And it's actually a little bit of a way to get some XP for like my axe and stuff. But I forgot, I added this new mod. It's called ZooCraft Discoveries. And it added this thing called frog spawn. So I don't know, I might try that out later, see if we get some frogs or something. But it also added a whole bunch of crops, so I have some random seeds and stuff from that too. So that might be something cool to check out soon. And the elevator. That I was sick of the ladders, unfortunately. Alright, so I think both of the ones in the trees were females. Yes, they are. Okay. So, okay, the male is kind of a more paler one, so we're going to take this one. Okay, please don't suffocate. There we go. Oh, look at you. These red pandas are so sleepy. Oh, look at your face. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's a little girl. Oh, look at you. Does it say zookeeper tamed on? I wish it would say whether you bred them or not. That would be really cool. She's in the glass. Does this still touch? Yeah, okay. Okay. Alright. Here you go, little guy. Okay, let's go see. Oh, okay. So he grew up. I think I am actually going to go in there and take him out. Just to be safe. It looks like they're fine. Maybe the game knows that it was an offspring. I just want to be sure. Okay, let's see. Can we put this here? Oh! That's not what I expected to happen. Hello. Dart frog. Okay, Mr. Dark Frog. Let's see. Yeah, we can put you up here. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump into the zoo tour. So I actually decided to do this tour in FreeCam, and then that way I can easily fly over and into all the exhibits, instead of having to stick to the paths while walking through. Now, I did a lot of work to get the walls and the entrance completely built, but there are still a lot of details that I want to add, and especially with the entrance area, I wanted to make like a dock and have an area where boats would bring people in, and then possibly also a parking lot or something. We'll have to see. And I also might build a back entrance as well on the opposite end of the zoo, and that's going to be later if we can build all the way back there. But yeah, this whole front area still does need a lot of work. I have been going back and forth. I kind of wanted to build a statue or a fountain right as you walk in, and I definitely want to add some like custom trees or at least some plants and stuff to make it more alive. So basically I want as much of the zoo as possible to look kind of like this area here with the waterfall and the trees, and just sort of make it look nicer. Now as well, some of the animals in the zoo are named already, but if you have any suggestions, please leave a comment, and if they're not named already, I will add your name to them. But here we are at the first habitat. This is one of my favorite animals ever, the okapis, and this habitat design is actually one of the earliest that I ever did. I built it in creative, and it was quite a bit different than this. It had a different type of shelter and everything, but with the upper level to look at them here, and then having the glass to look down at them and everything like that, that I built in creative a long time ago, before I even started the series. Alright, and so this building is actually my main base, as well as a barn. And then out on the side we have our barn animals, all of the vanilla mobs. Now these little pastures are a bit small, and I wanted to have them be a bit bigger and have more shelter, but the stables are behind it, so it didn't really work out so well. But yeah, that is one of the things that I want to get back to at some point. Then as well we have our next habitat, which is the Amur leopard, And this is another early one, so I know it's a bit small and doesn't have as much detail as some of my newer ones. And so they are an animal that I'm considering moving to a bigger habitat or seeing if I can change things in the future, but we'll see. And for the most part during this tour, I will give you some facts that I'm hoping will stay mostly positive, but these poor leopards are the most endangered leopard species in the entire world, and there's less than 200 individuals in the wild. However, it's not all bad news. I saw several different conservation projects that are working to protect them and increase the populations, including one that I found by the Wildcats Conservation Alliance that I'll link in the description. So we'll quickly just take a look at the Okapi barn, and we're going to check out that second habitat on the other side in a minute. But yeah, our next habitat is actually going to be the pygmy hippos. And I just adore how cute these guys are. Like, they're such an embodiment of, if not friend, why friend-shaped. I just want to hug them so bad. Alright, so here's that other side of the Okapi habitat. And then as well, we're going to check out this lower area of the gorilla habitat. And I love this view from here so much, but because it's lower down in terrain, they don't tend to hang out here, unfortunately. But one of my absolute favorite things that I've always loved about the okapis is their stripes. And it's just so fascinating to me how they have developed them separately from zebras. Like, they're not very closely related at all. They just sort of both decided that stripes were good camouflage. Now back to our tiny friends. However, while they do look small and they are about half as tall as common hippos and about a fourth of their weight, they can still be up to 600 pounds, so they're not actually that tiny. Thankfully though, they're not known to be quite as aggressive as the larger hippos, so you don't have to worry about running into them so much. And up here is one of my absolute favorite views. I loved making this canopy. It was just so much fun. It took a lot of chiseling bits, but it was worth it. Hopefully you guys like this too. But yeah, this whole area has the spider monkeys and then another view of the gorillas. And this is actually only the top of the spider monkey habitat. You can also see them from the bottom down below. But unfortunately they can climb pretty much anything. They act pretty much like a spider, which is in the name, so it makes sense. But it's really hard to make something that they can't climb or get somewhere you don't want them to be. And I wanted to point out that this habitat is not exactly like their natural habitat, because they tend to live in trees that are around 80 feet off the ground, so that'd be about 25 Minecraft blocks. So I didn't quite make this as tall as that, and I just wanted to mention it. But then we have the rest of the gorilla habitat, and we go into this fallen tree, which I really like, but it isn't quite realistic because there's no trunk or anything in the habitat, but I just thought it would look cool and the gorillas can walk across it. And I'll admit, I was never really that interested in primates, and especially apes, just because of how similar they are to humans. And in fact, gorillas share over 98% of their DNA with us, but over time I really have come to appreciate them. I especially love their family dynamics, and as well how gentle they tend to be even though they are really strong, but they don't tend to be that aggressive if they don't have to be. Now past the bridge by the spider monkey habitat, that blank area is going to be a free roam bird pond area where you can walk through, and I really like the idea, so I'm hoping that I build that soon. Alright, so next up we have chimpanzees, and I really like this habitat, but the one thing that I wish that was different was that they could actually climb the trees, because unlike the spider monkeys, they can't climb anything, so I wish that I had made it more like the red pandas where they could get up on the trees. But one of my favorite things about chimpanzees is that their use of tools, and more specifically that they actually modify existing items to create a tool, rather than just using something that they found. And even if to us it seems like a simple or obvious tool, it really requires them to think ahead, and that's what's really interesting. Alright, so now we're on to the lion tamarins, which is actually a group of 4 species. There are so many different tamarins actually, but they're one of my absolute favorite animals. They are so adorable. And I'll admit this habitat does seem a little bit big for them because they're so small. But really I did that because I've been making the habitats a bit bigger as I've gotten better at building and detailing the habitats and just giving them more room than they need. And it's not very surprising that they show intelligent abilities just like other primates do, but I love that it seems that they understand cooperation. So there was an experiment where 2 tamarins each had access to a handle that would drop food if both pulled them at the same time. And so the researchers found that if one of them was alone, they were very unlikely to pull the lever because they knew that they needed another one's help. So we do have to backtrack just a little bit here, but we can see the lower area for the spider monkeys now. And I actually really love how this looks, even though they do tend to spend more time up in the trees. And then directly behind, we also have the Komodo dragons here. I absolutely love these guys, they're so cool. One of my favorite things is that there's actually fossil evidence of there being Komodo dragons in Australia, but the most recent was dated over 300,000 years ago. And then there's the Sumatran rhino, which is one of the few rhino species that I haven't seen in person, along with the Javan rhinos, and both of them are very endangered. And this is also the smallest species of rhino, but they still can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. And it's not very easy to show this in Minecraft, so you can't tell looking at them, but they are known as the hairy rhinos because they're covered in reddish-brown hair. And then we have the lion habitat, and this is one that I really want to overhaul and update because I didn't like how it turned out, and I had such a tough time trying to build the shelter, and so I kind of gave up on it, unfortunately, but I want to go back and improve it. But one thing that has always fascinated me about lions is their manes, because they're the only big cats that have them, and it's believed that they evolved around 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. So this intersection is kind of crowded. It has Brazilian tapirs, moose, and red panda all right here. Now, my absolute favorite thing about tapirs is the spotted pattern that they have as young. And it's also cool that horses are actually their closest relative. Now, speaking of horses, out of curiosity, I converted the tallest moose of 6 feet 11 inches to hands, which is how horses are measured, and they can be over 20 hands tall. So for non-horse people, a tall horse would be around 16 to 17 hands, and there can be some around 20, but that's pretty rare. And then, of course, red pandas are also one of my very favorites. They are just so adorable. Like, they just look like they'd curl up in your lap and hang out. But obviously, I don't recommend that. Now, the one major flaw of this habitat is that they actually are pretty solitary. So I probably shouldn't have so many in here, but I just love them so much, and we did breed one, so that's kind of why there's a lot. Then up ahead, we have gravy zebra and the coatimundi. And the coatimundi habitat is very small. It's one of my very first ones. So I definitely think I might upgrade that in the future. And as well, I'd love to add a few more because they tend to live in bands of up to 40 females, so that's pretty cool. Then the gravy zebras are not only the largest species of zebra, but they're also the largest wild equines. However, at their tallest, they'd only be about 15.5 hands tall to compare them to horses and moose from before. And then this tunnel goes underneath the Bengal tiger habitat. And while this exhibit might need a little bit more detail, I really like the concept of it. I love being able to see underneath the shelter, and then having the front view as well. And then we have the giraffes, which Zala has reticulated giraffes. They get their name from Latin reticulata, and that describes their net-like pattern of their spots. However, these giraffes kind of look like other species instead of reticulated because their spots look a lot more irregular shaped. Then let's actually go look at the other side of the tiger habitat. And the basis for this habitat was actually kind of like an abandoned temple or some sort of similar building. Now as well, for a long time, the tigers kept escaping, and I still don't know how they were getting out. So I just kept building the walls higher, and luckily they haven't gotten out in a while, but I still have no idea. Okay, so tucked away back here by the red pandas and the tapirs is the Galapagos tortoise. And I definitely admit this habitat is a bit small. My thought was kind of to pretend there was a backstage area that they could go to, but there's actually not any space behind it, so it doesn't make a ton of sense. One of my favorite things I found out about them is that Charles Darwin, when he initially found them, he believed that they were deaf because they wouldn't react to any human presence until they actually saw them in front of them. However, they do rely more on their vision and other senses besides hearing, but they're not deaf. Then we have this cockatoo habitat, and I absolutely love the idea, the concept for this. I had it such a long time ago, but I wanted them to be able to walk through and see the birds flying up above. And so I kind of want to rebuild this habitat maybe and make it bigger and better with the skills that I have now. And the other thing is that cockatoos are technically from Oceania. However, they also are in the Philippines and some Indonesian islands, so they're not technically just in that region, so I don't know if I want to move to that area in my zoo or not. So next up we have beavers, and this habitat is really special to me. It was my first huge use of the chisel and bits, and it took ages to do, but I'm really proud of how it turned out with the beaver lodge. But the rest of the habitat could use a little bit more detail, and especially the tunnel I didn't do so great at decorating. But I've actually seen a beaver in real life. It was when my family was driving to this campground that we would often go to in the summer, and there happened to be a beaver lodge that I always looked at every time we drove by, and one time there was a beaver sitting on top of it. It was so cool, even though it was a little bit far away. And then we have the grizzly bear habitat next, and this is one of my early ones, so it definitely could use a bit of an upgrade and some more details. And I don't know why I use so many vines here. I think they spread way too much, so I need to fix that. But something about the grizzly bears that I really found fascinating was their hibernation. And so for these bears, it's dependent on climate. So the subspecies that used to live in California didn't hibernate at all because the temperature stayed warm enough all winter. But then in the colder climates when they do hibernate, they can gain up to 400 pounds in preparation. And that's because they don't eat for the several months that they hibernate. And now we're going to head into the giraffe barn. And this is loosely based on the one in the Buffalo Zoo. They have an indoor area where you can see where the giraffes go into and some smaller habitats as well. The design is very different in theirs, but the concept is similar. And the first smaller habitat here is for the Japanese giant salamanders. I've always had such a soft spot for salamanders and also newts because when camping as a kid there was these woods and there were several different species that we would come across there. Although those would always fit in the palm of your hand, not so much with these guys. They're the third largest salamander species. Only 2 Chinese species are larger than them. And they can be up to 5 feet long, and that means they're almost as long as I am tall. And then we have the Fiji banded iguanas, and I absolutely love the patterns and the bright colors of them. But the one thing about this habitat is that they actually live up in trees about 20 feet off the ground, so this habitat's not exactly ideal. I give them some climbing area, but it's way more flat than tall. So maybe I'll change that someday. And then we have the actual indoor area for the giraffes, which definitely needs some more detail that I'll get to soon. And then we have the tree frog area. And so Zella actually has different variants that represent species. So this one is the glass tree frog. And my plan for this area is actually to add more frog species as well in an upper level above. But these glass frogs get their name because their skin is partially translucent, and it's believed that their legs are more transparent than their body, and that allows them to create a transition between whatever they're sat on, like a leaf or something, and then their body kind of blends in really well. And heading back up towards the front of the park, we have the American bison, which unfortunately they stay along the edges because of the pathfinding. But I love the natural plains look of this habitat. Maybe could use a little bit of detail, but I like it. Now as well, a lot of people really underestimate bison, but they can jump vertically up to 6 feet high and can run up to 45 miles per hour. So that's much faster than humans. And while they're not necessarily aggressive, they will attack if they feel threatened. That's why national parks and stuff always warn people to keep their distance. And now we're at the other end of the farm animals, and we've reached one of my favorite habitats, the jaguar. Now I just love having the little top of the waterfall here, and you can see the waterfall on the other side. And this habitat is a little bit busy, I know, but I just like how it has like the foresty kind of vibes. And overall it just looks pretty peaceful here. And growing up, I always thought of tigers as loving water. And it's true that they do swim, but jaguars might enjoy it even more, and they were often seen playing in water. And now we're at the very last section of the zoo that's built already. It's all animals that live in the Oceania area. And so that includes Australia, New Zealand, and then some of the islands surrounding that. And the only animal that I haven't gotten to yet for this region, I think, is the koala, so that also will be soon. So I'm actually going to start with the kiwi habitat, which was so fun to build. And I loved building the little tree stump shelter. The only thing is that it is very brown, so the kiwis blend in and it makes it kind of bland looking. And one of the funniest things about kiwis is their closest living relatives are some of the largest bird species, so think ostriches, cassowary, emus. But it does make sense that they're all related because they're all flightless birds. In fact, the kiwis' wings are so small that it looks like they don't even have any, because it's all hidden under their feathers. Alright, now we're back to the Tasmanian devils, and I'm actually concerned they can climb out of the habitat somewhere, but I've triple checked, there's nowhere they should be able to get out, but they keep doing it. But something that really surprised me to learn about them is that their teeth continuously grow throughout their entire lives, which is really similar to a lot of rodents. However, they're a carnivorous marsupial, so very, very different. And then we have the echidna habitat. This is actually only half of it, so we'll see the other side in a moment. But these guys are so adorable, I love them so much. And I built it in 2 habitats because I wanted to have more of them, but they're pretty solitary, so I didn't want to have too many. So now we have the red kangaroo habitat, and this was so fun to design to look like the Australian outback, and it was nice just to have an exhibit not focused on grass as much as a lot of them are. And kangaroos are very well adapted to these hot and dry climates. They have natural cooling mechanisms that keep them from overheating, and they're able to eat plants in high salt, as well as being able to go long periods without drinking any water. Now, most people know that kangaroos are marsupials and they raise their young in their pouch, but something I thought was really sweet is that they will sometimes adopt a joey that isn't theirs, and I wanted to find out more information about this, but I couldn't really find any specifics about why they do this. And onto the platypus habitat, this one was a bit tough because I couldn't find many examples about how they're kept in captivity, or even really good quality images of where they live. And I also wanted to give them a realistic looking burrow, but I found it difficult because they tunnel from underwater into a burrow that's sort of above water level, so I wasn't sure how to show this well, especially in a way that guests would be able to see it. And I also have to mention that I named the male platypus Perry based on Phineas and Ferb, and I think it's so cool that the Zawa mod makers literally put this Easter egg into the pack. And then we have the cassowaries. This is actually a habitat that I moved, and so now they have a whole lot more space, but it's a pretty similar design as before. Now, the mod makers did such a great job on this pack and the animals and the sounds, but these guys sound so cool, if not a little bit creepy. And if I had any doubts before that birds are descendants from dinosaurs, I certainly don't after hearing these guys. I'll put a link in the description to a real cassowary call. It's pretty cool. And lastly, we have the other side of the echidna habitat, and they're one of the only two living egg-laying mammals, which is besides the platypus. So it's not surprising that they share a common ancestor, but I found it interesting that because of their ancestors being aquatic, echidnas are adept at swimming despite being fully terrestrial now. And so that does it for our zoo tour. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you so much for coming along for this whole journey. I definitely love to hear your thoughts and suggestions, but obviously I do know that there is a lot that I want to keep updating, and I plan on trying to make a habitat for every animal in the pack. And I did get a request in the comments to make an elephant habitat, so I think that's going to be next. But as well, feel free to leave any other suggestions that you have or any animals that you really want to see. The only other things that I haven't really shown in this tour are some of my farms and stuff, but I keep those hidden just because they're kind of in the background and not what this series is about. But I do want to fly around and show you the entire zoo, and then I'm going to go through the barn and the house a little bit just to show you guys, but none of that is really anything special. But this is episode 50, which is pretty special to me. I can't believe we made it this far. So I've decided to make this world available for download. You'll find everything you need, including the mods and the configurations and everything, in the description below. And something that is very important is that you need to make sure to set the animal hunger and thirst settings to not drain. Because that's what I have it currently set at, just because this is on a server and because I have so many animals that while I'm building and everything, they would just probably dehydrate and starve way too often. But it's pretty simple to make sure you have this setting turned off, and if you want to turn it back on after you feed everybody and make sure they have enough food, you can feel free to do that, that's no problem. But I just don't want you to load into the game and then have the animals starve to death or anything. But all you have to do is go into the configuration file and change the Zawa care stats to false, or I will have the configurations with the download, so you should just be able to put that in your instance folder, and that should have everything else set for you. But yeah, this episode has taken me forever, so I definitely apologize so much to everyone who's waited for me. But I also thank you so much for still being here. And so that is going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.